how did you get to school or work today? Unless you walked, more than likely you use some mode of transportation that has something welded on it, whether it be a bus with a welded frame and welded body on top of it with welded seats, or a car with a welded frame also. 50% of the national product of the United States has some type of welding in it. So you use something that has been welded every day, whether it's a car or a table. There are 3 types of welding that are probably the most common, and that is MIG, TIG, and arc welding. And I will tell you a little bit about these. First off, we're going to talk about MIG welding. MIG welding has to be done indoors because it has a shield of gas that keeps impurities out of the puddle, which is the molten metal. There's no slag with this, so it is a convenience for whoever is welding because it's faster and more efficient. There are many different ways for you to weld. There are correct ways and then there are wrong ways. This is like a correct weld right here. That means everything is set right. Your next weld right here is your volts are too high. And then your volts are too low, so you didn't get any penetration to join the 2 pieces of metal. Your wire speed is too high, and then your wire speed is too low. And this is done by a machine that has a spool of wire, and it has a gun that you can see the tip of the gun in this picture here. And there's a little nozzle that shoots the wire out. And then you have a ground clamp that arcs, causing the arc to melt the metal. So the next one will be TIG. TIG welding is done on most auto body repair shops because it is the cleanest and most precise. It uses a non-combustible tungsten electrode, which is inside your gun. You have to have a filler rod of the same material that you're welding. This is probably the most common with aluminum because aluminum you can't really arc weld or MIG. It can be done, but it is hard. There are many different types of the tungsten electrode, and here are a few of them. And then this is your filler rod, as this person is demonstrating, with your gun, which creates molten. It looks like he's welding aluminum, so he has a pool of molten aluminum that he is dabbing his filler rod into. Next is arc welding. Arc welding is the most common because it can be done just about anywhere, and it's probably the easiest for someone to learn because it's so commonly used. With arc welding, there's a coating on the electrode, which I have here, which is called flux. This burns off and creates slag, which brings out the impurities in the weld, the slag will sit on top, and it can be used in many different situations, whether it's on some farm equipment out in the middle of a field with a gas-powered generator or gas-powered welder, or in a shop. With it being in a shop, it has to be ventilated correctly because the gases can be harmful. And here's a picture of the slag. This slag is peeling off without being chipped. There are many different types of rods. I have 3 of them here. I have a 6011 rod right here, which is used in many different situations. a 6013, which I think personally is the easiest to run, and then a 7018, which is used on most pipelines, along with the 6011. And then in the picture you have a 6010, and then a 7024, and then you also have your normal welding, your normal weld. Your speed is too fast and too slow. Like, no, too fast.